Welcome to the pause.
Today we're doing something a little different.
We're taking this single, very brief script. It's called The Echo of Unspoken Silence, and we're gonna sit with it, line by line.
It's asking us to do the one thing we're all pretty terrible at.
To stop! To put the phone down and just listen.
It's a deceptively simple text.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a few throwaway questions, but if you actually let them land, they get very uncomfortable very fast.
That's funny, because that's exactly where it begins. The first line is, one more question. Why does silence feel uncomfortable? And I want to pause on that word, uncomfortable, because for me, it feels like a bit of an understatement. It's not just awkward, it's physical.
Physical.
Yeah, like an itch I can't scratch.
That's real. It's not just in your head, so to speak. If you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, silence in nature is almost never a good sign.
How do you mean?
Well, think about the savannah. The background noise is insects, birds, the wind. When all that just stops dead, it usually means one thing.
A predator.
A predator is nearby. So your nervous system is hardwired to interpret a sudden lack of input as a threat.
So my brain is basically screaming, there's a lion in the living room, when really I've just turned off the TV.
Pretty much. Your cortisol spikes a little. Your brain starts scanning for danger. But the danger in our world isn't a lion. It's the sudden, jarring absence of stimulation. Of dopamine, really.
So it's a kind of micro-withdrawal.
Exactly. We treat silence like a vacuum, and our first instinct is always to fill it.
Which brings us to the next line in the source, doesn't it? When the noise stops, what shows up?
What shows up? It's so ominous.
It really is. You know, I had this happen just the other day. I was on a long drive listening to music, totally zoned out, and my phone died.
Ugh, the worst.
The worst. No charger. And suddenly it was just me and the hum of the road. And I'm not going to lie, for the first few minutes, I thought I was losing my mind. I was tapping the steering wheel, talking to myself.
You were trying to generate your own noise to fill that vacuum.
Totally. But after I sort of gave up, my brain, it just went to the weirdest places. I started replaying this argument I had 3 years ago. Then I started stressing about my retirement savings.
And that's it. That's the answer to what shows up.
It wasn't profound. It was just messy.
And the text asks right after that, is it boredom or something you've been avoiding?
See, my first answer would have been boredom. I was just bored without my music. But you're suggesting that's just a cover story.
I think boredom is the easy label we put on the discomfort of introspection. Real boredom, the kind you had as a kid staring at the ceiling. That's actually a really creative state for the brain.
But that's not what we feel as adults.
No. What we call boredom is actually agitation. It's something called the default mode network in the brain kicking into high gear.
The default mode network. Can you unpack that a little?
Sure. It's just the network that activates when you aren't focused on a specific external task. When the doing stops, this network lights up. And for a lot of us, it's biased toward rumination, self-criticism, anxiety.
So when I say I'm bored, what I really mean is I don't want to be left alone with my own thoughts.
You don't want to hang out with your default mode network.
Exactly.
You're avoiding that backlog of unprocessed stuff, the emotions you were too busy to feel, the doubts you scrolled past on your phone.
It's like a messy kitchen drawer. As long as you keep it shut, the kitchen looks fine. Silence is yanking that drawer open and dumping it all over the counter.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And looking at that mess is overwhelming, so we've developed tools to shove it all back in. The text lists them out for us.
It does. If you need music, a podcast, a screen, just to sit still. Okay, I have to jump in here because we are literally making a podcast right now. Is listening to this just another form of avoidance?
It's a fair question. But I think the key phrase in the text is just to sit still. It's about the dependency.
Okay.
Can you eat your lunch without watching a video? Can you ride the bus without headphones? If the answer is, no, I can't, I'll go crazy, then it's not about learning or curiosity anymore. It's a shield.
A shield. The next line asks, what are you protecting yourself from?
Right. And it's usually not something external. We use distraction as a form of what psychologists might call effective numbing.
Effective numbing.
Instead of feeling an emotion, naming it, and letting it pass, we just turn up the volume on something else. Feel a flicker of loneliness.
Yeah.
Open Instagram. Feel a flash of anger. Turn on the news.
So the device is like an adult pacifier.
It is the ultimate pacifier.
Yeah.
And the problem is it works. It works really well in the short term. It lowers the immediate anxiety. But it stops any real processing from happening. You're protecting yourself from your own internal weather.
That makes me think of doom scrolling. Even if the news is awful, It's external awful news. It's easier to worry about the world than it is to worry about, your own life.
Precisely. External chaos is often much more comfortable than internal silence, because in silence, you're the one who's responsible.
Oof. That that hits a little too close to home. But let's keep going because the text shifts here. It moves from what to who. Yeah. It asks, when there's no distraction, who are you left with?
That changes everything, doesn't it? It frames the whole experience as a relationship.
It does. It's like the party's over, the music stops, everyone goes home, and you realize there's one other person sitting on the couch, and it's you.
And for a lot of people, that person is a stranger. Or worse, they're a critic.
The inner critic.
The inner critic, the inner judge. Call it what you want, but imagine you had a roommate who followed you around all day whispering, "You're not doing enough, you're getting old, you're not as smart as they think you are."
You would do anything to drown that voice out. You'd blast music, you'd have people over constantly.
You'd do anything to avoid being alone in the room with them. Yeah. But that roommate is you. And by constantly drowning them out, you never get a chance to actually talk to them, to ask, "Hey, why are you so worried?"
This feels connected to the difference between loneliness and solitude.
They are polar opposites. Solitude is enjoying the company of yourself. Loneliness is the pain of being alone.
Yeah.
And if you can't stand the person you're left with, you will always feel lonely even when you're by yourself. You are bad company for yourself.
Bad company for yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough pill to swallow. But it explains the panic. If I'm trapped with someone I dislike, my only option is to dissociate, to distract.
It's a pseudo-escape. You become a pair of eyes consuming content, not a person feeling feelings.
Which brings us to the very last line, and honestly, it's the most confusing one for me. And why does that feel loud?
The loudness of silence.
It makes no logical sense. 0 decibels is 0 decibels. But I know exactly what that line means. It can be deafening.
It's all about the signal-to-noise ratio. Think of it like this. You're at a loud concert.
Okay.
The external volume is so high that your internal thoughts are basically inaudible. You can scream and barely hear yourself. Now, cut the amps. Empty the stadium. Just you, sitting in the middle of it all. Suddenly, every tiny thought, every worry, every regret, it doesn't just whisper, it echoes.
So the thoughts haven't actually gotten louder. The masking noise has just disappeared.
That's it. The loudness is just the revelation of the noise that's always running in the background. We call it the cognitive flood. When you break the dam of distraction, all that unprocessed water comes rushing in.
And it feels like your head is screaming at you.
Exactly. We associate silence with peace. Peace and quiet. But they aren't the same thing at all. Quiet is just an acoustic state. Peace is a psychological achievement.
And silence is often the place we realize just how unpeaceful we really are. It's the audit.
It's the audit. And for most of us, the balance sheet is in the red.
So if it's this uncomfortable, this loud, this messy, why should anyone do it? Why not just keep the podcast playing, no offense to you listening, and keep the shield up?
Because you cannot heal what you refuse to hear. You can't comfort the anxious part of you if you're constantly drowning it out. The only way to move from that state of loneliness to one of true solitude is to sit through the initial loudness.
You have to let the storm pass.
You have to let the mud settle in the glass of water. When you first stop shaking it, the water's all cloudy and dirty. That's the loud phase. But if you could just be still, eventually the sediment sinks and you get clarity. But most of us panic while the water's still murky and we shake the glass again.
So it's an act of courage then, to just sit.
It might be the most countercultural, radical thing you can do today, to just refuse to be entertained for a few minutes.
We've covered a lot, from our own biology to the inner critic.
And we've done it, a little ironically, by filling the silence for you.
We have. We've been part of the noise. So we want to end this a bit differently.
Instead of a summary, we want to leave you with an action. Or a non-action, really.
In just a moment, this is going to end. The audio will stop.
And your trained biological instinct is going to be to immediately find the next thing. To open an app, to switch to music, to just get up.
We're asking you to resist that, just for a moment. When our voices stop, don't move.
Just catch that very first second of silence. Notice what it feels like in your body. Is it tight? Is it loud?
Who are you left with in that gap? Just try for 10 seconds before you rejoin the world.
You've been listening to The Pause, and we'll be back at 8 a.m. tomorrow.